Bitcoin. Bitcoin, aren't you tired of hearing about Bitcoin? Don't you just hate this thing? Can't we talk about anything else except for Bitcoin? But at the same time, maybe Bitcoin is that elephant in the room that may just take all of us to the moon, or at least some of us who choose not to have fun being poor. Now, before we begin this video, I wanted to address a particular piece of hate mail I received the other day, in which someone said that he actually hates that I don't do coding on this channel anymore. This crypto crap is terrible. Now, to me, this statement is saying that you really like coding, but you don't want to touch the internet. You want nothing to do with the internet. You don't want to do networking. You don't want to do website development. You just want to do your coding. Coding has always been about staying at the forefront of technology. The technology is the interesting part. That's where the opportunity is. If you just want to do coding, pick up QBasic, make some Pac-Man games, play it with your brother or sister, and you'll have a blast. But most of us are in coding in order to make some money for those 500K salary incomes working at Google or Facebook, which, by the way, you can check out my program, techinterviewpro.com, and I'll get you set up on how to pass those interviews. Make your own luck. But the other thing to consider is that half of all Silicon Valley deals, or more currently, are being thrown into Web3, cryptocurrency, decentralized finance, and all of this. So how can you just say you don't want to be a part of any of this and make your iOS games? You want to make iPhone and Android games? That was 10 years ago. The opportunity is not even there anymore. In fact, as an ex-Google tech lead, when I was working at Google as a tech lead, I was in the iOS team building YouTube. And we would always have these discussions within our group about how we would avoid becoming obsolete, because we knew that iOS technology put us in a very small little niche within the space. And we just always questioned ourselves, shouldn't we be getting more into full stack web development or scalability or C++ or something beyond just making shiny little buttons? These days in Silicon Valley, you've got engineers quitting their top tier positions to jump into Web3 and crypto. Meanwhile, my old colleagues still stuck doing iOS development. I don't particularly envy them when we know, as software engineers, it is part of our job description to stay one step ahead of the technological curve. You know, there are two types of people in the world, leaders and followers. The followers are waiting for some authority figure, like a university, to start teaching courses on Web3 crypto before they recognize its legitimacy. But with the internet, information is moving so fast. If you want to learn coding, learn Web3. If you want to learn finance, learn DeFi. If you want to get into real estate, learn about metaverse. So to answer your question, is this crap terrible? Yes. Yes, it is. But so is Facebook, Google, social media, Instagram, Twitter, Zynga games, iPhone games, Android games, all of that. It's all terrible. Social media is terrible, and yet that is the backbone for Web 2, and now we're getting into Web 3. Now, let's talk about Bitcoin. You know, we can take a look at the holders chart. It has just been climbing day after day, year after year, and it just continues to go up. And I think it's interesting when you come to a site like CoinMarketCap, you take a look and there's so many coins, so many beautiful jelly bean coins, and you're just so interested in what all of these are. And you think, well, Bitcoin is the biggest one. Maybe there's not much opportunity in there. What about Ethereum? Hey, why don't we do a 50-50 Bitcoin Ethereum split? Right, that sounds good. Maybe we can capture more of the risk-reward ratio in Ethereum. Maybe even pick up some Solana, some Cardano, maybe pick up some Avalanche and all this other stuff. And some people, myself included in the past, have completely ignored Bitcoin. I just didn't want to touch it because I thought the opportunity was gone. And I thought, well, maybe I'd rather own Million Token. Check it out at milliontoken.org, or maybe some people just want to own Dogecoin or Shiba Inu or some gaming altcoin like Decentraland. Some people plow into NFTs, but I think it's interesting to consider that all of these coins and all of the marketing hype and the industry behind all of these ultimately funnel and contribute into that number one slot, Bitcoin, which everybody sees, but many people kind of ignore. Is kind of that elephant in the room. And so if you saw my video on Ethereum the other day about why I sold all of my Ethereum and why I believe that some of these tech companies, the network protocol layers such as Ethereum, maybe even Polygon, Avalanche, Phantom, and all of these may eventually go to zero, because they're essentially just a networking layer. And if you know about the computer industry, that networking layer is essentially a commodity. TCP, UDP, it becomes abstracted away. Nobody even cares about it. I would say that at this point, Scalability, the quality of the blockchain, how many transactions it can do, how fast it is, does not really matter so much because there's so many blockchains that can solve this already. Scalability, in my opinion, has already been mostly solved and it's now a matter of incremental improvements. But you've already got Polygon, Avalanche, Phantom, Binance Smart Chain, Harmony One, Near Protocol, Polkadot, and Cosmos, which are entire ecosystems of blockchains. And so to me, a lot of these coins, which are in the top 10, top 20, are essentially like commodities. They will compete with each other. There's no real defining factor and will drive each other's gas prices, the fees, and their values to as close as zero as possible, Ethereum included. I am not really bullish on Ethereum at all. I think that there's many other competitors out there, and when Ethereum 2.0 launches, in which currently I believe there's a lot of people staking for Ethereum 2.0, I think that Ethereum 2 will drop the value of Ethereum itself once the gas prices are low and people find they don't need that much Ethereum in the first place to make their transactions. Why do you need to hold $4,000 worth of Ethereum when you really only need maybe $10 worth to make all the transactions you want, assuming once they launch sharding and proof of stake? And the same goes for all of these other networks as well. And what I think is going to happen then is the same thing that happened in Web 2.0 as well, which is consolidation. I think a lot of these coins, the values are going to drop when people realize maybe that, for example, Ethereum is not as valuable as they thought it would be. Originally, they wanted to put 50% of their assets into Ethereum, and now they realize they made the wrong call and they need to just put everything into Bitcoin, perhaps. And Bitcoin is unlike any other cryptocurrency on here, right? Because Bitcoin is essentially that one digital gold. And all of these others are kind of like technology companies and networking protocols. Now, I do believe that in the short term, these networking protocols may go up in value, may be pretty interesting, especially for DeFi purposes, in which DeFi is a legitimate use case. But long term, this can easily be illustrated, for example, with Ripple, which is a very low cost mechanism for transferring funds. And you can see that over the last year, its value just didn't really go up much because people didn't really need that much Ripple in the first place, right? They could just transfer funds with very little Ripple. So why do they even need this? Well, they don't really. They just need a little bit to make their transactions. So here's our thought experiment. Let's imagine that half of these coins go to zero this year, which is quite possible, right? Once people realize maybe the metaverse, VR, gaming, NFTs, maybe they realize that none of that's really going to pan out, right? People don't really want virtual reality. And so then in that scenario, which I'm not saying is going to happen necessarily, but those bag holders who are holding onto Sandbox, Decentraland, Axie Infinity, and all of these things, which in this scenario would go to zero, they would realize that they wanted to be in on cryptocurrency. They bought into the philosophy of decentralization. They wanted in on that. And yet they realized they didn't quite pick the right coin. That one went to zero. This one went to zero as well. And everything just consolidated into the top 10, 20 coins or so. And the market values of these top 10, 20 coins would shoot up, consolidating and absorbing all of the rest of the market value in the whole entire industry, currently at about $2 trillion worth. And as they consolidate, they only become stronger and stronger until they cannot be dethroned anymore, ever. Kind of like how in Web 2, there was Facebook, Google, Apple, Amazon, they dominated everything. We're going to have some dominance here after a period of consolidation as well. And I would say that of all of these, Bitcoin is really unique and monopolistic in being that one digital gold. Nothing else can even compete with that. Ethereum is more of a technology that can and probably should easily be replaced by Polygon or Avalanche or some other protocol that is cheaper in gas fees. So if we do a little bit of technical analysis here on the Kubler-Ross change curve, we can see that there's an initial period of shock and denial going into anger. I would say that currently we're in this anger bargaining phase, in which people are trying to bargain with Bitcoin. They're trying to find some other alternative because they feel they maybe missed the initial jump. People were shocked for a while, right? Now there's a lot of anger. You've got people like CoffeeZilla who are just screaming about how Bitcoin is a scam. They don't like that. And people are bargaining. They're looking for other alternatives. Shiba Coin, Dogecoin. They're saying maybe that's the next Bitcoin. Maybe there's something else out there. There's going to be, after that, a period of depression in which people just slowly come to terms and accept that perhaps, just maybe, Bitcoin will become that new dominant and unstoppable cryptocurrency of the internet, which when you think about it, this is gold, real physical gold. Look how heavy this thing is. It's so heavy. Now, you may have heard about the Turkish lira imploding or the US inflation recently printing at 7%. And so these people need refuge from their governments. Do you think they're really going to take on this barbaric metal in an age where everything is digital? Everyone wants stuff on their phones. So what we really want is real physical gold, but digitized. For the modern digital era where you can have it on your phone, we want it to be liquid. I don't even know where to sell something like this. And this could even be totally counterfeit, right? This may not even be a real gold for all I know. There could be tungsten inside. The technology is so good to counterfeit these that in order to properly sell this, I may even need to have it reappraised and maybe even drilled through just to confirm that it is actually real. Maybe drill a hole in each one of these. I mean, it's just not very practical compared to digital gold. And so, especially for those countries with unstable governments, Bitcoin may be that ultimate solution. And so, yes, I'm kind of a Bitcoin maximalist. It always kind of annoys me whenever I hear people say, buy an equal amount of Bitcoin and Ethereum. Or some people say they only hold Ethereum because they think that Bitcoin is overbought at this point. And I'm just there thinking, Ethereum is a technology company that is pretty antiquated by now. And there's so much better technology and it's almost a commodity even. And talking about Ethereum, Vitalik even mentioned that Ethereum needs to be more agile and lightweight, noting that they're only about 50% of the way there. He notes Ethereum needs to be made simpler over time, admitting it is not yet ready for direct mass adoption, reaffirming the need for layer 2 scaling solutions and reduced transaction fees. So I think it's great they've acknowledged their weaknesses. They have a lot of work to do, and there's also massive competition around this time. Or I may see some people buying into Cardano, Solana, Ripple, or some gaming coin, completely ignoring Bitcoin. And I'm just thinking maybe you should allocate a little bit more of your portfolio into that number one slot coin, that digital gold, because at least in my experience, that kind of seems like the elephant in the room, the coin that nobody's really talking about, nobody's really hyping up, nobody really wants to mention because it's pretty boring actually, and it's just slowly going up each day over time, consolidating the momentum and steam of all of the other coins as the other smaller ones disappear and consolidate into just those top few coins. And the other coin that's going to be up there, by the way, is going to be milliontoken.org. Check it out, the Web3 social token. So that'll do for me. Hope you enjoyed the video, but let me know, what are your thoughts on consolidation in the crypto space? Kind of like how there was consolidation in Web2. Do you believe that we will also consolidate and the market caps of all these other coins will just flow into maybe just the top 5, top 10 coins? See you in the comments below. And if you liked the video, give it a like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. Thanks. Bye.